The murder of James Foley is a grim reminder of America's laws against negotiating with terrorists or paying ransom. But should those laws change? Our political analyst Jon Keller broaches that topic with Congressman Stephen Lynch.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us. We're taking a break from the campaign talk this week at a moment when foreign policy has been dominating the news to talk with 8th District Congressman Stephen Lynch of South Boston, a member of the House Subcommittee on National Security who just returned from a visit to the Syrian refugee camp on the Turkey-Syria border. Congressman, welcome.
Good morning, John. Good to be with you.
Always good to have you. The family and friends of James Foley, the New Hampshire journalist murdered by a Syrian-based terrorist group last week, wanted to try to pay ransom to have him freed, as many European countries have done through third parties to free their kidnapped citizens. U.S. policy prohibits any such payments. Should that policy change?
I don't believe so, no. I think that, as we've seen with some of these other countries that do engage in that type of policy, if you begin to pay ransoms for kidnapped Americans overseas, you'll have more Americans kidnapped. It's an incentivization of kidnapping and ransom. So we don't negotiate with terrorists. It's deeply unfortunate in this case. My heart goes out. My prayers are with James Foley and his family. But I think we would by our actions, put more Americans at risk if we began to consider paying ransoms. That whole operation there, ISIS and other terrorist organizations of their ilk, fund their whole operation by kidnapping. And we've seen this not only in Syria, but in Yemen, in Iraq, Afghanistan. This is how they operate. And if we're going to play ball like that, we're putting our people at risk, especially journalists who are in there trying to do the right thing, exposing themselves necessarily in some cases to that danger. So I think we've got the right policy. It's a difficult policy in these circumstances, but overall I think it's the right thing to do.
Well, these thugs have now slaughtered an American citizen. They're holding others captive. The question, I think, on most people's minds is what are we going to do about it? The chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Martin Dempsey, said the other day, sir, that ISIS cannot be defeated without attacking their home turf in Syria.
Right.
Could you see yourself supporting military strikes against them in Syria? And in general, could you see yourself supporting an expanded military attack elsewhere in that region that would include ground forces?
Well, not U.S. ground forces, but I certainly think that, look, they're operating across borders. You do not have an incumbent government in eastern Syria. You've got ISIS controlling most of it, and some areas are contested between the Assad regime and ISIS, as well as you've got the Free Syrian Army up north, the so-called moderate rebel forces. I think that sovereignty has gone away. So I don't see the difference in attacking ISIS in northern Iraq, violating their sovereignty versus what's going on in eastern Syria. I certainly think it's appropriate for us to use air power to go against ISIS in eastern Syria. I think it makes sense. Otherwise, they're just using that as a safe haven to launch further attacks. As far as boots on the ground, we need to remember, over the last 10 years, the American taxpayer spent $24 billion training Iraqis how to fight, equipping them, maintaining that equipment, helping them with their communications and logistics. We've trained, to date, in the past 10 years, 938,000 Iraqis on how to fight. There are boots on the ground in Iraq right now that could deal with ISIS. ISIS, their effective fighting force is about 15,000 fighters, and we've trained 938,000 Iraqis how to fight. There are people on the ground, there are boots on the ground right now, Iraqi boots, that should be able to deal with this problem. Now,
and yet so far they haven't proven they can.
Right. Well, Maliki, from what I hear from some of our General Petraeus and others, believe that Maliki has cleaned house with his top military leadership, taking out effective generals and putting in Shia generals who are friendly to his administration.
So with him gone, maybe that situation will improve.
That's the thinking.
Let's
yeah.
hope. All right, we'll take a short break, Congressman. Thank you, and continue our conversation with Congressman Steve Lynch in a moment here on WBZ. Stay with us.